Oh, good morning. We are in our first lock. Iron Gate Hydroelectric Power Station is the largest dam on the Danube. It's located between Romania and Serbia. Completed in 1972, it was the 10th largest hydroelectric power station in the world. It produces electricity and makes what was once one of the most challenging sections of the Danube navigable. And I am not the only person out here this morning. The pilot house has to be able to go down. We go under some low bridges. And here's the structure underneath. Pretty fancy elevator. West. And here's the end of the lock. That when we get up to the level of the water on the other side, it'll open up. We can't go through the main channel because of the dam, and so they've got the river traffic over here with the locks. A little later you can see the water coming over the dam as we continue to get much higher in the water. See that the gate is being lowered. We'll have to keep going underwater so that we can go over it. Just a few minutes later, and we are now moving into the second section of this lock. Just sitting here waiting for the rubbish ship to come in and join us. After he comes in and they close the back door, then we'll be able to lift the ship up to the next level. It looks pretty dark and rainy, but there's also a rainbow. Okay, we're about to exit the lock. Now that was about a 2-hour process of getting through these two locks. We are really zipping along now. Got some high bridges here. This area is supposed to be quite scenic, but not quite so scenic in the rain. The rain is easing. There's people in little trailers over there. I assume they're camping. There they are. Here's a cute little village that we're passing by. There's a church. There's a nice boat. Our room is on the port side of the boat, and I am now on the starboard side. And there's a whole lot more houses on this side.
On the sky just for us to enjoy this beautiful sailing stretch of the Danube here on the Iron Gate section. And shortly but slowly, ladies and gentlemen, on the left-hand side, we are going to approach our first point of interest.
Roman Emperor Trajan built a bridge here in 105 AD to supply his troops during his conquest of Dacia in what is now Romania. It was the length of 9 football fields. It's considered to be the longest arch bridge in both total and span length for more than 1,000 years. But 160 years later, the Roman Emperor Aurelian withdrew from Dacia and destroyed the bridge. On the Serbian bank, a plaque commemorates the bridge.
On the left we have the Balkan Mountains, on the right we have the Carpathian Mountains. And those are two of the largest mountain chains in Europe.
Over here is a nice restaurant. And above the restaurant, we begin to see the statue emerge. Sculpture is a carving of Decebalus, who ruled Dacia from 87 to 106. He was the last king of Dacia and fought against the Roman emperors Domitian and then Trajan to preserve the independence of his country, which corresponds to present-day Romania. The sculpture was made between 1994 and 2004 on the Danube at the Iron Gates, which forms the border between Romania and Serbia. This is the tallest rock relief in Europe at 180 feet tall and 82 feet wide. The monastery was built here in the 14th or 15th century, but it was destroyed during the 17th century. It was being rebuilt, but rising waters from the new dam in the 1960s placed the ruins completely underwater. A new monastery was erected in 1993 above the ruins. For much of its course, the Danube moves through wide valleys, but as it enters the border region between Romania and Serbia, its banks narrow into a series of high cliffs. Here, the river carved a passage through the lower Carpathian Mountains to the north and the Balkan Mountains to the south, creating a series of 4 steep gorges. These gorges are known as the Iron Gate. In the past, the Iron Gate gorges created rapids and whirlpools that made navigation difficult. Control of this section was gained with the construction of the Iron Gate Dam, which began operation in 1972. The river's narrowest point as it passes through the gorges is at the Great Kazan Gorge. In this gorge, the Danube shrinks to 500 feet wide with cliffs that are about 1,000 feet high.
It changed the landscape for upstream for more than 70 miles as far as a railway. The hydroelectrical power plant covers 50% of Serbian power need and 30% of Romanian power consumption. The dam has a width of 4,220 feet.
A lot of interest over there. Several boats, people have gotten off. Numerous caves line the rock walls of the Iron Gate of the Danube River, separating Romania and Serbia. This is the entrance to the largest cave in the Danube Gorge. Its galleries total about a mile. It's accessible by land or boat. There's some caves in there. Looks like the bigger boats can't get in, but I think that smaller yellow one's going to manage to get in a ways. Huge, big, thin slab of rock and mountain, and behind it there's a whole bunch of trees. Probably getting water coming down when it rains. In the stern, it's quiet, and here's a shuffleboard court, and over here is miniature golf. And we have some fresh herbs growing. Some rosemary, lavender. I think there's some thyme. Probably some oregano in there. What a good idea. I'll bet this is a measured, not golf, jogging course, but probably for walking to get some exercise. Walking path, 1 lap, 450 feet. 1 mile is 12 and 3/4 laps. I don't know if I could keep track of that many. There's a quite modern house, and now we have mostly traditional houses along the water's edge. Commercial ship. Now I can look at the houses a little better. We seem to be docking. This is a Saturday and they've got vendors out here. Well, I just found out this is Serbia. The reason we're stopping here is so that Serbians can check our passports. Most of us are not getting off. There are a few people who are getting off here to go on some excursions. Now the rest of us are not allowed off the ship. And from putting on my cashmere sweater this morning, because it was cold and rainy, it is hot. Morning, it's 11 o'clock and it is hot out here. Appears to be a very pleasant town, a very nice park.